We got the coach. Matt Minnick joins the show. Let's go. What is up, Bengals fam? It's your boy Mike coming back at you with another Who Daily. We've got another guest. We had Mike Bengals_Sands on Twitter a couple days ago. Now we've got Coach Matt Minnick with us today to talk draft leading up to the draft next week. Gonna jump right into the video here. Enjoy it, and I'll see you around the corner. Well, for those of you who don't know him, this is Coach, and you should know him. You need to follow him on Twitter. He's a great Bengals follow. Been doing a lot of awesome clips on his channel here recently, leading up to the draft. With some of the guys you've heard of in this draft class. And what have you been up to? What's this draft season been like in comparison to last year? I mean, for me, it's wildly different trying to figure out who's going to be there when they pick, right? Last 2 years, it's been pretty much chalk, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy for a lot of reasons. They're picking so deep that it's not, last year there was the big civil war between the two guys, and one of them was probably going to be there, and both of them were. But, this year there's going to be 30 picks before they're up. So yeah, a lot to think about. Also, longest season of all time means shortest off season of all time.
Yeah, the most games the Bengals have ever played, right? In a single season. So
yeah, most games anybody's ever played.
And also the lowest, highest, the deepest in the first round they've ever picked, right? 31, right? Because of the expansion. I don't think they've ever picked at number 31. So. Pretty interesting draft year, right? Like stuff we haven't historically haven't ever even thought about.
Yeah, and 2 years ago, the Burrow draft, I was looking at quarterbacks in October, and because it was just like, all right, well, we see where this thing is going, and even after Burrow got hurt, you're looking at I'm looking at the draft, and we're talking about guys, and now it's like, oh crap! It's like February. I haven't done anything.
The coach. I mean, the coaches have been saying that too, right? I mean, Lou said it. I think Duke Tobin even said it. But it's just been weird for the organization, right? Like usually they look at they get done with their last game, and this year it happened to be the Super Bowl. They look up at the clock, and it's like, man, it's the Senior Bowl is happening like next week, which is pretty crazy. And speaking of that season when Burrow got hurt, right? That was what was so crushing about it, is because it looked like he was there, man. Like he had just started to figure it out, right? And it looked like they were going to go on a run there at the end of the season. And I mean,
and the schedule was a little bit easier, that last half of the season too. And it did look like he was really starting to turn the corner. Even like watching the first time they played the Ravens, and like he made a lot of mistakes. They got their butts kicked. You could see in the fourth quarter, you're like, he's starting to see it. He's starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
You wanted to see the rematch. You wanted to see the rematch. You wanted to see the Steelers rematch too, because you could see it in that game too. It's like, man, they're really close to this thing. That could have been a 500 season.
And for better or worse, I mean, you look back at it, you never want to say, man, I'm glad Joe Burrow got hurt. But if he hadn't, they're probably not picking Ja'Marr Chase, So it's weird the way things work out.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and they'd be a lot better team this year, one way or another, with what they've done in free agency and everything like that. But Chase was the engine. Chase was the lightning bolt that really got this thing going, saved them for some games that they probably shouldn't have won. They kind of got this thing rolling a little bit. I was actually, it's funny because now Debo wants to be traded. But I talked about this during the season. I was like, people love to talk about drafting a quarterback and, draft a quarterback and like, you got to find your guy. If the 49ers, who obviously wouldn't have traded up for this reason, but if they took Ja'Marr Chase instead of Trey Lance, that's Super Bowl team.
Yeah, they were good.
Give him that guy, and Debo's, I don't want to go down a Debo hole because it's not that kind of podcast, but Debo's good. Debo's not the receiver Ja'Marr Chase is. He has the rack ability to run after the catch. He can do some things, with the ball in his hands, but he doesn't know how to get open like Chase does. He's not that type of receiver.
I actually think they're using, like, he's complaining about his usage, right? And like being used as like a hybrid type running back. running back, tight end / wide receiver, and it's like I actually think that's the usage and the role that fits his skill set the best. So I don't know what he's.
I 100% agree. I think some people, like I said, they see him as a top receiver, and I think he's probably looking at the money the top receivers are making and saying, "I got to get somewhere where they're going to treat me like a top receiver, so I can get that bank."
Yeah.
He's not going to make that as a running back.
Yeah. So with Ja'Marr Chase, like, can you think of another player where you were like, you know what, this guy's going to be this for the Bengals, and then stepped right in his rookie year and was that?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think it was kind of the perfect storm with Chase, because I remember when watching film with Burrow, and I remember like not even really knowing anything about the receivers.
Yeah.
I think I like tweeted or something. I was like, Ja'Marr Chase is the guy that they need to go with him. And so I think somebody responded to me like, "Yeah, they're going to need a top 5 pick again next year." So, oops, and I ended up that way. But
but that's what happens. I mean, I the same way, man. I don't watch a lot of. I'm a West Virginia fan, so I don't watch a lot of SEC until late in the season when like all those games are essentially playoff games, right? Like they're playing in their SEC back end of their schedule and into the SEC play. Championship game. That's essentially a play-in game to the national championship. Whoever wins that's going. So like that's when I start watching, and I hadn't seen them, and I was like starting to hear about this Joe Burrow kid, and then I watched him play in the national or in the first round of the playoff, and I was like, holy shit, because he's better than I thought he was, Joe Burrow. But I was like, who the hell is this guy he's throwing to? Like this guy is just roasting SEC cornerbacks. Like good ones that are going in the first round next year, kind of stuff, and it was like.
Yeah, I mean, AJ Terrell, like that, like all the buzz we get around draft season, that ruined AJ Terrell to draft Twitter.
Well, that one game.
No, he's just really, really good. Like, Terrell's a good player. He ended up going in the second round, but like Terrell's a really good player.
And he'll probably be a long-time good pro as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think it was the perfect storm with Chase, because he already had the connection. He already had the rapport. He was the exact type of receiver they needed. They got, it was a blessing, really a curse, but also a blessing that they were in position to even take him in the first place. And he was just the kind of guy they needed. People talk, "Oh, he's not that fast." Okay, yeah, he's fast. He takes the top off a defense.
Yeah. Like watch the play against the Ravens.
I never understood that. I was like, he's running by everybody. What the hell?
That one play against the Ravens early, like in the first game, where it was kind of. That's when I saw that play, caught it, and kind of spun through like 3 defenders and then just gone. Like that speed, that breakaway speed on that play alone, I was like, he's fast. He's plenty fast. He's not going to have a problem.
I mean, I coach defensive backs by trade. Like that's my thing. Like I've done a lot of different things, but like that's the area I've really focused on. And one of the things that I would do if I was like a camp where there are prospects, or if it's like the first day of camp and I got freshmen there, I like to throw a ball that I don't think the kid can catch. Yeah. I'll throw a ball like 5 yards farther than I think he can catch it, and that's how I judge speed. It's like I'm going to make like, oh crap, he's a lot faster than I thought. I need to take a really close look at this guy. Yeah. And I think that's what happened with Chase this year. Is people didn't realize how fast he was. So he makes all, like, you talk about these slants, like there's so many people that are missing it because they're taking the wrong freaking angle because they have no idea how fast he is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's one thing, like game speed, that we talk about game speed, and it's really hard, it's impossible to quantify, but what it results on the field is when the way you can tell Ja'Marr Chase is fast is, like you said, the defenders think they have an angle on him. When a safety is running full speed toward you, he thinks he can catch you and tackle you. There were so many plays where like that guy just didn't. He had to give up because it was like, okay, he's gone. But yeah, he was just not only. I think the Bengals also lucked out in this respect with Chase, is that the Zach Taylor coaching staff very clearly, just like Marvin Lewis had like his types of players that he would draft. This coaching staff clearly has like their types of guys, right? You have to fit kind of culturally, personality wise with this team, or there won't even like. I have a feeling that that's a pretty heavy weight on their draft board. Like if they meet with a guy and the vibes are off, he's off the draft board. You know what I mean? Because I think that they really value that locker room, keeping that basically the locker room vibes that they had last year. That's what Zach Taylor's always been talking about building, right? And then it finally clicked. And I think they'll do everything they can to keep it. I don't think they're going to mess it up. But it just happened. Like if Ja'Marr Chase would have been, if he would have had some diva to him, if he would have been, just, the wrong attitude, if there would have been a little bit of sign of like, oh, this guy doesn't have a good work ethic, they probably would have picked Penei Sewell. You know what I mean? So I think Bengals fans should relish this because what you're seeing with Joe Burrow and Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins. Like, it is a monster, and you're not even talking about Joe Mixon, right? And they haven't even gotten a full utilization season out of Joe Mixon, really. Like, I think with this offensive line coming into next year, I think you're going to see them lean on the run more. I think that they're not going to have any problems against any defense converting a 3rd and 1. Run it behind the right side of the offensive line. You'll get a yard. Don't worry about it. So especially with Joe Mixon running it, but. Transition a little bit into the draft. You mentioned like watching film, and you have a lot of clips on your YouTube feed of like some of the. I really like your Logan Hall clips, but who are some of the fun, like more fun, or who's your favorite player to watch film on in this draft class so far of the guys you've seen?
Favorite to watch? That's kind of a tough question.
Doesn't mean he's the best, just the favorite to watch, right?
Well, I'll talk about some guys that are. Probably a little bit deeper and don't get talked about quite as much. But one guy, if you follow me on Twitter at Coach Minnick, with an H at the end, not a K. You see me talking about Alontae Taylor a lot. I tweeted twice about Alontae Taylor today. He is a corner from Tennessee. He tested really well. Honestly, I thought he kind of had trouble staying with guys that were really fast on film. So I was a little bit concerned about him. But he loves to hit people. And he just comes up screaming, sometimes wild and out of control, and sometimes he misses because he comes in wild and out of control. But he loves to hit people. He was a team captain. He was on the SEC leadership committee or council or something like that. But, basically, he has a lot of the things that I think the Bengals really value. Like, he loves contact. He's a leader. He's all about the right things, personality-wise. So I think he could be a really good fit for this team. And actually, because before he tested, now it kind of makes me rethink, maybe he's a corner. But I just watched the way he loved contact, the way he hit, and that he didn't think he could stay with top receivers. And I thought, make this guy safety. Yeah. And there are people talking about that. I think Dane Brugler's got him as his number 10 safety. I think he's a top 5 safety in this draft. I think we haven't really seen it, but I think he projects that way. So he's a really good player, really interesting player that I think could help in either one of those ways, and is a great fit for what they like. Another guy I'll talk about is Cole Turner, a tight end from Nevada. He fairly average testing and not getting a lot of buzz. Looks like a day 3 type of pick, but he's a jump ball guy.
He's 6'7", isn't he?
I'm not sure what exactly it is, but he goes up and steals the ball. Really, I think he'd be a really good fit for Burrow. I think Burrow will really have a connect with him. He's not going to take the top out of the defense. He doesn't have quite some of the numbers, some of the speed, some of these other tight ends, but. So I think he could be a really good fit, and that's how I looked at tight ends this year. I was like, I don't know if they're gonna really take the top guy. They might just look for a guy that's gonna work really well with Burrow, and I think he could be a really good fit for that position.
Yeah, Cole Turner is 6'6", 240. Yeah, I've talked about him on the channel before. Just talking about late round options at tight end if they can't get a Greg Dulcich early or a Trey McBride or whatever. I think Trey McBride's going in the 2nd round before they even get a chance, but because they're not taking him at 31. They're not going to draft. They're going defense. I mean, that's my opinion. They're going defense at 31. I feel like they almost have to, but unless there's a freak there, I've got this mantra on my channel: draft the freaks. If the dude tested like a freak and he checks all the other boxes, draft him. I don't care, because when you're an athletic freak, your ceiling raises higher than the non-freaks can get to, right? So if you hit with these guys, like Tyler Linderbaum, he has all the measurables. He weighed in at 300 pounds. Everybody was like, oh, he's only 285. He weighed at his pro day 300 pounds. And he checked off. The only thing physically is his length. And I'm just so tired of talking about offensive line lengths. When I watch him play, the dude can block, and that's all I care about. You know what I mean? So just don't overthink it. Sometimes I feel like people overthink it. And he fills a need. He could be like the. You remember the Richie Graham days? You know what I mean? You never had to worry about it. That dude's playing center, and you never have to worry about it. I just want to get somebody like that where I don't have to think about it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they got Karras, who has some flexibility position wise, and who is on a short term, pretty cheap contract too. So I absolutely I agree with you, and I think that like you want to get the dudes. You know, I think you're putting yourself in a position there where they have the flexibility. I don't think they have to feel like they need to take a guy. But if you have a Linderbaum, you know, to me, Linderbaum is a mid first round grade. You know, he's a mid first round type of player, and if you can get a mid first round type of player at 31, that's probably the best player on the board right there. So I absolutely think they should be open to that. I get the feeling they aren't. I don't know, just some of these interviews lately, maybe it's smoke and mirrors, but some of the interviews, I get the feeling they're just like.
Yeah, I think they're happy with where their O-line is right now. You know what I mean? I think they'll still, they may still end up signing Quentin Spain even. You know what I mean? So I don't think they don't feel like they have to pick an offensive lineman at 31, which is a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think they haven't signed Spain yet because they're waiting for the draft.
Yeah.
You know, I think if they don't draft an interior lineman, I think Spain will be there in a week.
Yeah, I mean he's still there. I mean I think that he knows that. I think he's still living in Cincinnati, so I feel like he knows that. And injuries happen all the time. As soon as somebody gets injured, he'll be the first guy they call. You know, that kind of thing. But I'm so happy with where the offensive line is compared. Like I'm just like over the moon. Like I've never seen an offseason where it's like they did all the things I really wanted them to do, and I didn't even I didn't expect a big right tackle signing necessarily, but then when I saw La'el Collins was in town, I was like, they're going to get it. They're going to get it done.
Collins is the perfect storm too. I mean, really, that was a great opportunity. That like the guys we talked about, like a lot of the tackles that were out there had Teron Armstead get knee surgery.
Mm-hmm. You don't know what you're getting.
Put $18 million into that without knowing. You know, so there's a lot of injury concerns there. There were some age issues. And then, you know, guys like Laramie Tunsil, like, okay, you're going to give up the first pick because the first pick is an opportunity to get a really good player really cheap. So you're going to essentially, if you trade for Laramie Tunsil, you're giving up the first pick and you're also giving up a free agent because you don't have money for that free agent. Whereas Collins, getting him on a cheap contract, they end up not having to trade anything to get him, but it wasn't going to cost a first round pick. But getting him on a cheap contract, like and a guy that actually plays that position, so we're not moving Jonah or moving that guy. I mean, that was it was exactly what needed to happen, and I don't know if he's happy, if he's happy in Dallas, if they get a tackle. Like I don't know, maybe we'll be sitting here talking about what they can do to get an offensive tackle if that wasn't the case. So that was a really perfect situation.
Yep, I agree. I think. This is what it feels like to root for a team who's good, right? The rest of the league
weird.
The rest of it's weird as hell. The rest of the league sees it. The players can see it. They see Joe Burrow. Everybody who meets him wants to run through a wall for him. You know, like this is what it's like to have the guy on the team. You know what I mean? You get deals like this. You know what I mean? These offensive linemen can go wherever they want, really, and it's a matter of who do I prefer to play with? You know. Yeah,
I mean, you go to the playoffs, you go to the Super Bowl, you get paid more money for that. Yep. You know, like you get deals for that type of stuff, and being around those guys, especially on offensive line, like being on good teams is what gets you acclaim.
Yeah, Look, ask Willie Anderson. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
So, no kidding. Fortunately.
So. What is your, as you think about all the ways the first two rounds specifically could play out? So I'm talking just pick 31, pick 63.
Mm-hmm.
What is the dream scenario? Because I have in my head what it might be, but I saw a specific tweet from you recently about there was a mock draft you saw where Linderbaum was on the board and they had the Bengals taking Elam with Linderbaum sitting there. And then you said, man, that's making me think if that happens, how can you trade up and get Linderbaum still? Because that is dream scenario. If you can get a CB2 plus a starting center in the first two rounds, I don't care what you do with the rest of the picks. You know.
Yeah, because again, we're at 31, so it's what's going to happen. Like you have no idea what's going to be sitting there, and there's been a lot of talk about trading out, but sometimes it's like, man, if there's a couple guys getting there, what do you do to get back up to that spot? But I would love to see Linderbaum. I'm with you on that. I am I still believe in Jackson Carman. I didn't love the pick, but he had some really nice flashes. So I would like to see that happen.
Still super young too, you know.
Yeah, and they've got the flexibility with Karras there, I think, too. So, and this is the thing, Karras is, with his position versatility, Jackson Carman takes the job at guard, Linderbaum takes the job at center. Alex Karras is backing up 3 positions on the line. Like,
super valuable.
Dude's gonna play. He's gonna start games. Like it's a long season. You're gonna start games doing that. So, if they could get Linderbaum, I mean, I think that would be an incredible solidification. I don't know if that's a word, but that would really, set that lineup for the future and be really, really special. So I'd love to see that happen. I really think that I love defensive backs. My dream job is like coaching cornerbacks and just like watching film of cornerbacks and watching one-on-ones and not having to do anything else. Yep. I love quarterback and like, so even me, I look at this team and I think they're okay with Eli. I really feel like they need interior defensive line help first. So, being able to find, I don't know about Travis Jones and Logan Hall. I don't know if they're going to get to that second round pick where they're slotted at. But a guy like that, or what's his name, Winfrey from Oklahoma. Yeah, I think he's another guy too. You need somebody to bring something dynamic to the pass rush from the interior. Those would be my top. If we're taking out Linderbaum, thinking he's going to be gone, or they're just going to be like, no, we're not valuing offensive line that much. I would say, like being able to come away with a corner and an interior defensive lineman who can get off the passer. I think that's the ideal situation.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think in this draft, those are 2 position groups that aren't super deep, especially that 3 or 5 tech. The interior pass rusher types.
Yeah.
If you're gonna take, you're gonna have to do it early, right? So, that's my thing. I feel like they may reach at some point in the first 2 picks to get one, so that they have him. You know what I mean? But I think you can have that flexibility if you think that like Logan Hall's ceiling is. If you think his ceiling is a taller Aaron Donald, go get him. Pick him with 31. I don't care. Like that. Because if he hits that ceiling again, he's a freak. So if he hits his freakish ceiling, that's worth it, right? So, but I think this draft is chock full of edge players. I keep watching it. Like I almost don't watch edge players where I'm like I like every single one of them. I'm like I would take any of these guys. So like I feel like 3rd, 4th, 5th round, you can get like a Tyreek Smith, who I really like, who may be like the 10th best edge player in this draft, but.
Yeah, he had a really good Senior Bowl too. Like he didn't have a ton of production, but really good Senior Bowl for him. And I feel like there's a lot of guys out there, and you can find those guys. I feel like even at corner, I think because they know what they like at corner, I think there's some guys that they can find. I mentioned Taylor, like Alontae Taylor is looking like a possibly. Ratings are all over the place this year, but he's probably a guy who can get the 3rd round, and I think he could step in and do something for them. So maybe you can let some of these other positions slide.
Yeah, and I'd like I do a lot of mocks, and a lot of times in the 3rd round I'm sitting there, and one of the 2, Marcus Jones or Alontae Taylor, are sitting there. I go back and forth on it. I occasionally give Marcus Jones the edge just because he's versatile. And, well, I mean, Alontae Taylor's versatile too, but Marcus Jones is maybe the best kick returner in this draft, and I think the Bengals just need a guy. You know what I mean? Like, they literally lost a game last year because they couldn't catch a punt. You know what I mean? But they haven't had a punt returner that was a real threat since, like, Pac-Man Jones. So, and that's kind of actually a little bit like Marcus Jones to me looks like a mini Pac-Man. You know what I mean? He plays kind of similarly. He plays that slot man coverage a lot. He returns kicks and is very, very good at it. But yeah, to me, it's like I can watch all these players all I want and say, hey, I like these guys, but it really comes down to how they interview. Honestly, like I feel like this coaching staff really values that interview. Are you smart enough to play in our system? Can you pick it up fast? And are you a fit character-wise for our locker room? And those are things we can't see on film, right? We're not interviewing these guys. We don't know. So they may be passing on a lot of guys we like because they don't check those 2 invisible boxes that we don't have anything to do with, right? But, Coach, I appreciate it for you coming on. We respect your time. You need to jump off, but come back on any time. Maybe we'll do something post-draft and talk about who they actually did pick instead of instead of prognosticating about who they might pick. And I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Anything you want to plug before we go? Besides
yeah, definitely. Follow me on Twitter at Coach Minnick. You mentioned my clips. That is a good indication that I'm working on an article. So I put up these film room articles. I use those clips. I embed them, and some people will put out clips and they'll write a bunch of stuff about it right there. I'm usually pretty vague about it, like basically just so I can search it later and know where it is. I kind of use it as my notes.
Okay, that's what that's what the little that's why they're just like titles on these things. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So then, so with Logan Hall, I'm working on something right now. It's going to be, basically, should they take Logan Hall or Travis Jones if they're going to take 3 in the first round? So that'll be coming out next week. I've got one out already on Elam versus Booth, and one on Hall versus Jalen Petrie from Baylor as well. I think safety's underrated.
I think there are good safeties. I think there's a good safety draft, like low key flying under the radar, good safety.
Absolutely. In addition to to the Jesse Bates franchise tag, they've got Von Bell going to the last year of his contract.
I think they'll draft one. I think they have to, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, and Ricardo Allen's gone. Yep. They got Trey Flowers, who kind of fills a similar type of role there. But you got to figure that if they pay Bates long term, and we all want them to, are they going to give Von Bell enough money to bring him back? How much money are you going to put into that position? So having a rookie contract and being able to have a future starter on a rookie contract to that position would make quite a bit of sense. So yeah, I've got all type of stuff out there, and like I said, the clips are kind of a hint of what I might be working on.
Yep.
And usually, we kind of put this stuff out there, and I'll put together and organize in a way that that makes a little bit more sense and a little easier to follow, I think, than a thread is.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's easier to digest whenever you know exactly what you're looking at, and it's just a clip, and you can see the player right there on it. But yeah, great work, and come back anytime. But until next time, Bengals fan, I've been Mike. He's been Coach. This has been Who Daily. See ya.